Part of the work of like social justice is about not just it's about being proactive rather than reactive. And so for me here at Adelphi, or thinking about the classroom, when I think about how to support faculty, it's about like what kind of experience do we want to create rather than like reacting to.
It really takes a village to include everybody. And so we are trying to make sure that the freshmen are sensitive to the fact that Adelphi is a family. That's our village, that's what we are calling it. So we start with Adelphi. So this village called Adelphi, how can we include everybody? I teach a class called Families, Cultures and Learning, and we deal a lot with diversity issues, white privilege issues, how teachers are able to connect with parents who don't look like them. So it's about families, it's about learning, it's about differences in learning.
My background comes in with working with children with special needs. In my classroom, I also bring in speakers who have disabilities. For example, when I cover a topic on intellectual disability or cerebral palsy or autism, after we read the chapter, we had the whole classroom discussion regarding the readings. There will be a speaker with that disability coming in and sharing his or her story with my students.
My doctoral training is in social justice education, so much of my training is focused on training and looking at research that links the practice of teaching to social justice concepts and theories. So what I'm doing in my own scholarship is really linking social justice concepts and theories to social work education, getting faculty to think deeply about how they think and what they think, how they teach and what they teach.
If you look into the history of our own country, history of the US, you can see how segregation, racism was a huge issue, segregation was a huge issue. These are all issues, even that's ongoing issues, but to have productive discussions, bringing in history, I always bring in case studies. I always bring in case studies and stories so that they listen to it and they can reflect on it. So they make their own decisions so that everybody is respected.
I think about who I am as a teacher. So when I talk about creating an inclusive classroom, I have faculty reflect in my own prior academic socialization. How we've been taught is how we then teach. So if we were taught in homogeneous classrooms or we were taught from a lecture-based model of teaching, that's many times what we're used to and expect, and we unconsciously bring those expectations in the classroom.
When we take time to understand our students, understand the problems of our fellow faculty members or staff, again that needs time. And make them feel like, hey, you are part of a big family. And if you are sad, if you are upset, I am going to be upset. When that kind of feeling comes among people, you see change. If not, you are going to continue seeing challenges within our campus setting.
Many of the behaviors or the dynamics we might see in society show up in the classroom. So teaching out here in Long Island, people talk about Long Island being one of the most segregated, at least racially, and also class-wise spaces. So for many of the students, it's the first time they're in the classroom, sitting next to people that they've never might have interacted with throughout their schooling. And so it's important for me to recognize that process is in the classroom and sort of engage it, get students also to locate themselves.
Some of the issues we are going to talk about are difficult issues. We're going to step on other people's toes, but we love each other anyway. We're going to get to the point where we understand why we have to discuss those issues. And especially when you talk about race issues, it's a difficult thing in this country to talk about race issues. And so with my families and cultures, I always start with, okay, let's talk about slavery. And then all my Caucasian students look down. They don't want to talk about it. And so I go around the class and say, Do you have a slave in your basement? Do you have a slave in your basement? And so that sort of breaks the ice.
I strongly believe in partnering with communities to strengthen inclusion. I think open discussions, and when community members comes in, or when children or adults with disabilities comes in and share their experiences, they are able to reflect on what they read or what I taught them or what the discussion we had in the class. They are able to bring all those things and have an open dialogue with the person who actually has a disability.
Your opinion is as important as someone else's opinion. Because when you talk about diversity issues, sometimes people have different opinions. It doesn't mean their opinion is wrong. But I give them the example of a salad bowl. The theory of a salad bowl. We used to say that we are a melting pot. We are no longer melting. That theory is out of the window, because melting means you are asking me to assimilate, to be you. And people don't like that. So now we have the theory of the salad bowl. And I start telling them, this is a salad bowl. You may be a tomato, I may be a cucumber, but I have something to offer in the salad bowl.
I think stories are very powerful, that students or anyone can learn from and reflect on. Wow, this is a very good story. Children like stories, adults like stories, everybody likes stories. So bringing in case studies, real life experiences when it comes to discussions. Is there room for everybody to, everybody in a classroom comes from all different backgrounds.
Today I had the students do a writing check-in last week about the elections. And that's one of the ways I bring it in the classroom. I'll have them do sort of a writing check-in where they don't share their names, and I ask them like a couple questions like, how is the election impacting your work with your clients? How are you reflecting on it personally and professionally? And so I came back, I sort of took all the feedback and sort of created a couple slides and said, this is what's in the room. And so it allows people, and some of the voices, again, some folks were happy and some folks weren't, and so it allows the different voices, and then it gives them an opportunity to weigh in or share things.
Talking with teachers, having these difficult conversations about how do we serve the community that we have? What are some things that we need to do to be sensitive to the community that we are serving? I've also done research on gender issues, multicultural issues, inclusion in special ed, which is also a diversity issue.
To me, I operate towards social justice rather than diversity, because we can have all different kinds of people in the room, but that doesn't mean we're a socially just, inclusive community. And so the work is hard, and I think, but if we do it in relationship to one another, which is also hard, but it can really create change. I'm an optimist about, and I don't think I wouldn't be in this room talking to you if the world hadn't changed, right? That I have an opportunity to share my expertise and be a faculty here at Adelphi.
If we don't teach our students to be human, as scholars, we have failed.
So for me, that's what's really transformative, to see folks who are now teaching other people about this or working with other people to change the world.